So let the madness begin. It is you know what? It is Thanksgiving week. There's your go ahead. Be prepared. Be prepared. Yeah, all of the things will be going on. How you doing today?
I'm great. You said it's Thanksgiving week. We've got college basketball now.
Yeah, the Maui Invitational is going on, and you're watching it because, I don't know, you care about college basketball in November.
I do.
It's I guess that's what happens when the Blazers are this bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Got to get scouting early. I was legitimately driving in this morning, and I was like, am I going to turn into, like, because I had the hip surgeries the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And the Blazers sucked.
Yeah.
The last 2 years.
They sure did.
So I quite literally watched every top 10 projected pick, basically almost every single one of their games through on Synergy, because I couldn't do anything for like 7 weeks. So
yeah, man. That's why you're really good at covering the team. I'm just going to frame it as positively as I can.
Not insanity.
Yeah.
I could have watched like TV shows to catch up on, and
that's right.
I did a little bit of that, but no.
Okay.
But on the way in, I was like, am I gonna really dive?
No.
No, I am.
No. Okay.
I'm going to.
You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna dive in.
All right.
I'm not gonna do like outside of the top 35. Like I can't do that to myself. I can't do like top 100.
Yeah, you say that now.
Yeah, no.
You say that now, my friend. Jeff Rust is here. How you doing, Jeff Rust?
Oh, just dandy.
Oh, just dandy today. All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy. There we go. We need to do a Holla at your boy segment where we just open up Jeff Rust.
Holla at your boy!
Yeah. Just like that right there.
100%.
Just like that right there. Holla at your boy, Jeff Rust. All right. You doing well today? Good?
Yeah.
Your kids off school?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
They at
What?
home.
Oh, yeah. It's like
The whole week.
Yeah, no school November is a thing. Whole week is off. I had parent-teacher conferences today with my kids.
What?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, that was not a. I mean,
Parent-teacher conference. I think they did them after school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did not.
Yeah.
We also did not have the entire week of Thanksgiving off.
Yeah, no, we had like Thursday and Friday.
Yeah,
That
we had
was
Thursday,
it.
Friday, and then I think maybe in high school they bumped us to Wednesday. Maybe.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
That was after
Yeah.
my time.
Yeah. It was like my senior year of high school. I remember I had the shortest school year in the nation of any school.
You're kidding.
Yeah, because we had budget cuts. And so they cut every Friday. And I remember it was like every Friday after Thanksgiving was just cut off the year. So it was 4-day school weeks. And then they cut off the last month of the school year. And I remember our principal my high school principal was our neighbor. She lived like 3 houses down from us. And if you're wondering, yes, that does really hamper your ability to throw a party when your high school principal lives 3 doors down.
Also, I'm understanding the requirements to get into Southern. Not that high.
No, I was already. I mean, you're already in by then. You know, it was the juniors had to worry about that. And it was Western Montana at first. So,
right.
So let's give SOU a little bit of credit here. They still would have taken me.
Yeah.
But I remember Miss Lochner, Carol. She pulled me and a couple other seniors aside and was like, I need you to know this, and look at me when I tell you this. You cannot have a senior skip day. And we were like, what? She's like, you get a whole month.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting out a month early. He's like, you literally will not be in the classroom enough days to graduate. So you need to spread the word.
And if you do
You
this,
guys-
you can't walk.
You guys cannot have any of like these senior skip day things that everybody else does. And we were like, oh, that's a bummer. And then it was like, well, we're getting out in May.
We get a senior skip month.
Yeah, it was a whole month. Like, and that's where I stopped going with the, everybody's like, kids are never in school anymore. I was like, meh, I really wasn't.
Shout out to everybody watching
So-
us on the YouTube.
On the YouTubes.
Yes, Rufio has a comment in here. Oh, that reminds me. I DoorDash McDonald's a surprise for my kids the other day. The DoorDasher ate some of my fries. I got a full refund, and my
Wait.
Ring doorbell cam caught it.
Caught him eating?
Mm-hmm.
That's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
You want to hear?
You can't do that. Even though McDonald's French fries are delicious.
They are delicious.
And they're local.
Well, that does take stones doing it at the door.
Right?
It does.
If you're gonna do it in the car where the camera's not gonna catch you.
Don't you assume that everybody has a Ring doorbell now?
You
And
should.
If they don't have the Ring, they have
Yeah.
a camera somewhere.
Yeah.
We are living in a surveillance state.
Yeah, except for Danny's house. He doesn't at his house because he just has tripwires and little pits that
Claymores.
are his little pits that are covered with shrubbery. that you walk in.
No, don't walk
cameras,
there.
though.
Yeah. Don't walk there.
No
Don't walk there.
He's got a hungry bear hiding in the bottom of one of them.
A few
do,
victims.
do you want to hear
What?
a more heinous McDonald's thing?
Do I?
Jeff Rust,
I have a feeling you can't be
Yeah.
stopped.
give me that sweet McDonald's take from this morning.
Oh, hang on.
Maybe.
I'm unprepared. Here we go.
Best McNugget sauce, Paul Mullen.
Ketchup?
Radical. Honey mustard, man.
No, not a chance.
Sweet and sour number
Aren't you
two.
meant to be from Liverpool? Just stick to ketchup. Next you'll be telling me you have avocado for breakfast.
Oh, God.
Think about that for a second. The best chicken McNugget sauce from Wrexham's Paul Mullen is ketchup.
I don't disagree with him.
Oh my
chicken
God,
nuggets,
no.
I'll have my chicken nuggets
You're
with.
kidding.
Yeah, because here you're talking from
Oh,
McDonald's.
yes.
From McDonald's. Yeah, I don't like their barbecue sauce.
Okay, that's fine.
First bite
Um,
hot mustard, second bite sweet and sour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a hot mustard guy.
What about sweet and
Frank.
sour?
I am finding out that that's an option right now as we speak.
You're
Granted, full disclaimer here, don't know how many chicken nuggets I've eaten from McDonald's in the last decade.
look.
So-
Mine is 10 because I've only been had chicken McNuggets quite literally once in the last 10
I
years.
didn't even know that was an
But-
option. I didn't know sweet and sour sauce was an
You're
option.
kidding
What are the sauce options there?
Oh, yeah, you got your sweet and sour, you got your hot mustard, you got your honey mustard, barbecue, ranch. Recently they had a
Their
couple
ranch
of,
is not good.
yeah,
there
well, you don't.
either.
That's
No.
you don't go to
No, no,
McDonald's
no,
for
no,
ranch.
no, no,
Recently
no,
they had a couple like limited edition ones. I believe it was like a mambo sauce and then like a sweet and spicy jam.
Ooh, now I do like the Chick-fil-A has
Mhm.
got their hot and
They have
sweet.
they have the sriracha. They have
Sriracha,
the,
yeah,
the,
that's really good.
the-
I enjoy their Polynesian.
Pol-
Yeah,
Polynesian.
you know what is great is you get like a spicy chicken sani from Chick-fil-A. You pour the Polynesian sauce on there.
Yeah,
It's to die
and then
for.
just the regular Chick-fil-A sauce too. It's just-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
They sell that in the stores too.
Yeah, they do. I've seen that.
I
there.
actually had the Polynesian sauce at home in the
Yes.
fridge.
You do.
as do I.
Yeah, that is decent. I didn't know McDonald's they did that. I honestly didn't. I'm not big on the. I guess I'm not big on my chicken nugget sauces at
Ketchup
McDonald's.
with chicken nuggets is the most insanely British thing I've ever heard in my entire
Even my
life.
7-year-old does sweet and sour.
Well, I mean, that's what I have done. I don't know.
So you have British taste buds. Do you like to boil your meat?
No, I don't like to boil. No, come on.
You know,
Come on. But I don't know. Gosh, you guys are like
chicken-
cornering me with chicken nugget takes.
Yeah,
I don't
that's-
eat chicken nuggets.
chicken nuggies with ketchup is the boiling your meat of chicken nuggets.
All right, I'm gonna try it then. I'm gonna try it. At first, when you started playing that, I wasn't quite sure they were speaking English there.
yeah, right.
That Welsh accent,
thick
it
accent.
really
Yeah.
gets me.
Yeah, no, Mullen will get you for sure.
I didn't know what that was. I was like, "What? You're playing something?"
Mhm.
And then I heard
Their
nuggets,
sounds.
and I was like, Now we're cooking."
That was
Ooh, that's bad.
yeah, that was Raj and the gang from the soccer podcast. Wrexham has another partnership where they're doing a monthly show with the Men in Blazers.
Okay, I
So-
like that. Yeah, they're making money all over the place.
Branding.
You know, I saw something yesterday that I watched Welcome to Wrexham, that documentary on
Mhm.
there, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's football club out there.
Mhm.
And I watched one where they're like, "Oh, we're losing how much money? We're losing how much money?" And then Rob McElhenney posted on Twitter that he was going to refuse to be outbid for a Letterman's jacket that was Kelly Green, signed by Jason Kelsey's wife.
Yes, it was like 35,000.
Nope. It went up to 50,000, and
Oh.
he said, "I will not be outbid." And I was like, "Yeah, they're not losing that much
They're
money.
doing fine.
They're doing okay.
Yeah.
They're doing just fine."
Well, they did get promoted.
Yeah. Sure.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Okay. So I need to try sweet and sour sauce from
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Honestly, French fries in the sweet and sour sauce is elite.
Mm-hmm. My daughter does that too.
Mm-hmm.
She goes through a lot of the sweet and sour.
those French fries are amazing. Though.
It's called crack.
It is, and they're all Oregon potatoes there.
Yes.
Are they?
Yep. Yeah,
didn't know
they
that.
built a factory out there on 84 as you're heading out past Oregon.
Oh,
When-
so
once you
Is
go
it like
past,
a Boardman.
yeah, Oregon, Oregon.
Yeah.
so
Once you go past there,
you're in Oregon.
yeah, once you go past Oregon, you go like on the way to Hermiston.
Is that just some jackass from Minnesota who moved out here and like, yeah, no, I'm from Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah,
Oregon.
don't you know it, Bobby? But you go out there. There's a big factory there, and that's the McDonald's French fry factory.
And then, of course, you got Orida in Ontario.
You know, it took me far longer than it probably should have to realize Orida was Oregon and Idaho put together.
I'm in that boat right there with you. Dude.
Like
Yeah,
it
really?
took me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It took me
I
a
was like,
while.
oh,
like, oh, that makes sense.
Oh, I get it. And that would be like, it was after college.
Yeah.
It was after college. And that one just got me. And I was like, because it's on the Oregon-Idaho border.
Yeah.
Also, why are we proud that
Yeah.
that the McDonald's is using just Oregon potatoes? Isn't Idaho like the potato place?
Well, yeah, that's why we're proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the best
'Cause we
French
stole it.
fries are from here.
Yeah.
Suckers.
Are they though?
I mean, they probably truck them in, but we process them here, so
There you
they're ours,
go.
damn it.
That's what matters. I
I
like
mean,
that.
that's like any car that says "Made in America." Guess where
It's
all
made
those
in
parts
Mexico.
are coming from?
It's made in Mexico. ladies and
Not
gentlemen.
here.
And a little tangent off of the Oregon, Oregon.
Yep.
There is an Oregon, Wisconsin, a town in Wisconsin called Oregon.
No, it's Oregon, Wisconsin.
No,
and
they actually call it Oregon.
I know, but they need to change
They
it.
do need to change
Yeah,
it. but
we're-
Does it
the
have
more
the E at the end?
There's
No.
a movie called Oregon that's on Netflix, and I watched a preview for it,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, let's watch this." Not in English. That was a curveball.
yeah.
That was a curveball.
Can you watch subtitle movies?
Yeah,
I can't.
I mean,
it is impossible for me to do it because I will read the text.
And that's the other thing too. My
well,
kid-
yeah, that's
well, no.
what you're supposed
No,
to do.
instead of watching the movie, it's
Yeah.
so distracting. to me.
yeah,
yeah.
it is.
My kid likes to have the captioning on everything, always.
Really? I have to do it with Peaky Blinders because I pick up about 20% of what they're saying on
Yeah,
that
because
show.
that's not English.
The Birmingham English is too much for you.
I don't. I have a buddy who refuses to watch movies with people with accents in it. He can't follow along. It gets him. He's like, I can't
So
do
has he never watched like a mobster movie?
it. Probably, yeah. I think it's the British accent that he
Casino's
really
just too much
doesn't
for him?
like. It's like it's too hard for him to.
There's
process,
so
and
many
I was like-
different ones too in England. My God,
Yeah. There's
that country is 4 hours long and it has more dialects than all of the U.S.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. It's like how
Yeah. And I know what everybody's thinking out there. They're like, yeah, he probably is like a MAGA guy, and it's like, no, he's not. He's not at all. He's not at all. Like he just doesn't like accents in movies. That's it. He doesn't like dislike
He's just super
England or Great
xenophobic.
Britain.
Okay.
He just is like no, he's not xenophobic. He's accentophobic. I don't know what that is, but whatever that the disorder is, he's got it. He can't do the accents.
So I'm learning here on the old Vancouver Ford text line.
Yeah.
Apparently, we are blowing people's minds about Orida. There are people that also did not
Thank
know
you.
that.
All right, thank
and here's
you.
one that's
that
blowing.
makes me feel better about
Here's
it.
one that's blowing my mind. WinCo stands for Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, California. I don't know if that's
Get
true, but
out
that's
of
what this texter
town.
says.
Get out of town.
And then we have another monster that says he doesn't dip his nuggets in anything.
You just raw dog those nuggets?
Just raw dogging those nuggets.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's some serial killer behavior
Like
right
I
there.
dip them in water. Duh.
Easy there, Joey Chestnut. Good Lord.
Wow.
So there actually is a thing for for your friend here. He is
Okay.
a linguistic discriminator.
That sounds worse. Like a xenophobe sounds bad, but
Yeah.
like a linguistic
Discriminator.
discriminator. Mm-mm. Yeah, that's weird. And it's like it's not. It doesn't affect his real life. Only movies. Only movies. Like, what is happening?
You can
here?
either that, or you can call it the singular word is accentism.
Yeah, that's accentism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's an accentist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jerk. It does not directly correlate with racism or xenophobia, but it does intersect.
Okay. Well, there we go. There's the Venn diagram where he may not be, his circles aren't overlapping, but he's pretty damn close.
It's not that he doesn't like those fuzzy foreigners. It's that he doesn't like the way those fuzzy foreigners talk.
Why? What'd you call him? Fuzzy?
I don't know. It's just, never heard that before? Mine an island over here?
Never have I ever.
Yes, 100%. It's the most I've ever seen.
Well, I think I killed Danny. Who'd have thunk it wouldn't be the stairs at Autzen Stadium. It would be me saying fuzzy foreigners.
Fuzzy foreigners, huh?
Oh, God.
Why am I just thinking of like a little old man sitting out in front of like a grocery store smoking cigarettes with like your facial hair?
Right, exactly.
I think-
Little old Italian dude.
I could imagine you being misconstrued for a fuzzy foreigner.
Oh.
All right. All right.
Good luck.
So here we are.
Yeah. Whew. All right. Is that it for the day?
Oh, no.
I mean, we taught at least 3 people in their 40s. I love how this is odd.
They're all in their 40s.
They coincidentally put their ages into the text, which I appreciate that. It makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
All right.
My God.
How do we recover and where do we go?
We don't. We just go on. We press on.
Okay. Thank you to everybody who's listening on 1080 The Fan or 99.5 HD 2. Or if you're on the Odyssey app or your computer at home. Hey, and to those streaming on the YouTubes, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Like, subscribe, watch us. Let's do this damn thing. We've got a show today. We've got a lot that we got to get to.
Indeed.
I have a feeling with the way that this thing is started, we won't get there, but we'll try our damnedest. Okay? It is Tuesday, so at 2 o'clock we got 3 up, 3 down.
Indeed.
Our thoughts from the NFL. We're going to start, tickling the Civil War a little bit. Oregon State. We're going to say, woo-hoo. We're going to Pillsbury Doughboy, that son of a gun. And then we got a lot of other football in between. That's exactly what we're going to do to it.
Call that a taste tickler.
Whatever that drop was.
That was you.
That's you, 100%.
Oh, I was aware. But whatever I was doing there, that's what we're going to do
like
to
you're
the
doing a
Civil War
taste
today.
tickler.
All right? That's a peacock.
Yeah.
That's a peacock and then me laughing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those little bastards are all around my house.
Those little fuzzy foreigners.
with their big old feathers, just all around. Have you ever heard? I saw this on the internet. Came up in my algorithm, so this will tell you a lot about me personally. There was a guy who was he was a hunter in a tree stand, and it sounded like a woman was being murdered in the woods. Like Danny was, doing Danny things.
Don't do that to me because you wouldn't hear anybody.
Yeah. But then somebody responded to the video, and I think they call it a stitch on the TikToks with, yeah, you don't want to get out of that tree because that's a cougar in heat, a mountain lion in heat. Have you ever heard
It sounds like a possessed car engine.
Yeah, you're gonna want to hear that. Rust, maybe get on that. You just try to get that sound because it sounded like somebody was getting murdered in the middle of the woods.
Lion in heat.
And that would have been the most terrifying thing to hear if I'm by myself in the woods and you hear that. Nope, not gonna do it.
Hard pass.
Not gonna do it. All right, so don't run towards that sound. That's how scary movies end. Sports. That's a segue.
There you go.
The drop gets the headlines, but the trend is more concerning. Let's talk Monday Night Football. Danny and Dusty on The Fan. Yeah, no, there's a spookier one out there of the guy in the tree. Danny found it during the break. He found it on his computer. You're going to have to turn your mic on, radio professional. He found it during the break, and it was... God
dang it.
Here.
Here you go.
Yeah, see, that first part kind of sounds like the F-15 or 35, whatever, but then
Yeah, and
then
that's
you get to the end of it, though.
yeah, that sounds like, and that sound you hear in the foreground is him pooping his pants. That is a little bit worse. But yeah, that's terrifying and nightmare fuel for
Yes.
everybody out there. So you hear that sound in the woods, don't run to it, run away from it.
Also, you're not safe in the trees.
But I mean, with your gun, you are. I feel like I'm safer.
This is why you bring something that's 45 caliber or higher if you're going into areas where there's mountain lions.
And this is Danny's safety. This is Danny's safety tips.
Yeah, Danny Safety Corner.
All right.
Yes.
Really loud. All right. Let's get to. Hey, you want to talk Monday Night Football?
Yeah, it was an ugly good game.
Super Bowl rematch.
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes going to light up the score. Nope. They combined. They combined for about as many yards as we thought that Patrick Mahomes may throw for in that game.
Indeed.
150 from Hurts, 177 from old Patty Mahomesies, and that game was to me, that game was not as much the defensive battle as it was the missed opportunities that both of those teams had over the course of the game.
Yes, I think that's honestly the story of the Chiefs season is that other
Yeah.
than Travis Kelce, they don't have any big playability, regardless of how great Patrick Mahomes is. I do think there's something wrong with Mahomes. I think he's a little nicked up. He has not looked nearly as creative. Now, don't get me wrong, the throw to MVS was otherworldly.
He had a few of them. He even tried his little hook pass. Like he did the whoop over my head behind the shoulder, and it almost landed. He almost landed it, but yeah, there's something missing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They're having second half issues. That's the third straight game they haven't scored in the second half, and they are second in first half scoring in the league and 32nd in second half scoring.
Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers.
well, and how about their drive? If you just look at their drive chart, outside of the 65-yard drive that ended in a fumble, they went 12 plays, 65 yards, and then
Come up,
Travis Kelce gets peanut punched. And look, Travis Kelce had a horrific game. Like
Mhm.
Taylor Swift not going to that game was the worst thing to happen for the Chiefs
No, it
because
broke them.
he had two drops that were pivotal
Bad.
drops.
Yeah.
And then he gets that peanut punch out, and like that's a very un-Travis Kelce game to have.
Heavy emphasis on the T on that.
Yes.
Peanut punch.
Peanut.
Yeah, yes. But that other one would get you to fumble too.
Listen, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, to be honest.
But if you think of the way that game went, outside of that drive that ended in a fumble, they had 72 yards of offense in the second half. Total.
Yikes.
Total. You take that drive away, they went punt, 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 turnover on downs.
God, I was proud of this.
Yeah, it's like a Kirk Ferentz fever dream.
Right?
He's like, yeah, give me more, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me that action. But they ended up losing that game, and I give a ton of credit to the Philadelphia Eagles, man.
Dude, they're really good.
They are really good, and it's about finding ways to win games, especially when you don't feel like you are giving your best shot. I mean, look, it's the same thing as Washington, right? This is what Washington is doing in the college ranks, where you find a way to win, you scratch and claw, and them's the breaks. Nobody will care at the end of the season as long as you are clean on the back end of your win-loss column. And so I although even Philly wasn't that crisp, right?
The NFL is survive in advance no matter what. If we're going to talk about style points
No
in
doubt.
college football, the NFL, it does not matter.
No. And it was the answers that they had in that game, right? So you have that first touchdown of the game where KC marches all the way down the field and they score. Philly engineers a drive right after it, right? And boom, they answer that score. And that is what the great teams do. And look, think of just everything that Philly has had to overcome as well. You have Jonathan Gannon going to take over the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Which is shown up for them.
And if they're playing really well,
They are.
especially if you compare and contrast the second halves of
Yes.
the Super Bowl to the second half of this game,
Mhm.
Philly fans are like, hell yeah, let's go grease up a light pole. But you also lost Shane Steichen
Mhm.
to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And look, having those two coordinators, this is one of the hard parts of being successful. And
Is that you do lose them.
think about what Kansas City is dealing with right now,
With
right?
Bieniemy gone.
They have had Spagnuolo be consistent there. You have had Eric Bieniemy for all of those years. Well, now you have Matt Nagy back, and look, they lost Nagy to be the head coach of the Bears early, but their core had stayed the same.
Yes.
It was Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Now that you have Nagy back, there's a disconnect offensively, especially with adjustments that they're making in the second half of games. And I know that Andy Reid, like for everybody that says, Eric Bieniemy the play caller or Matt Nagy the play caller,
It's
Andy Reid has final say.
That's why he's got that 300 play sheet in front of him.
He has first and final say.
Yeah.
And that's why no matter who the coordinator is, that play sheet ain't getting any smaller.
No.
And
I think this is Andy Reid failing to adjust or anything like that. This is what we talked about for years. The Chiefs had an abundance of weapons. They don't. They don't have anybody who gets any separation. And we knocked them for like Juju Smith-Schuster. He would be their number one this year by miles.
you go out and you have to get MVS. You go and you trade back for Mecole Hardman. You get Kadarius Toney. They knew that there were holes that needed to be filled, but when you have a Patrick Mahomes, you trust it, right? And this is what the hardest part of a dynasty is.
It's keeping it
when
going.
you have coordinators that leave, when you have assistants that leave, when you have guys that win that Super Bowl and then they go get paid, because after a Super Bowl is the payday. How can you have that consistency and continue to win?
How do you replace those guys that leave, and you got to do it at a number that was cheaper than you were at before because other guys you need to keep have gotten more expensive?
You have so many guys have come and gone. You lose your Tyreek Hill. Mecole Hardman goes to New York, and then he ends up coming back. This is where you go, why Brady was so good for so long was because he found a way, and the Patriots found a way to have that continuity after all of those guys, the Deion Branches and the Bethel Johnsons, would go and get paid. It was just a revolving door. You go from you have Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman. They found a replacement that fit the system and fit the style. That's a really tough thing to do, and I think you're seeing Kansas City's trying to work through that right now. And that doesn't mean that their dynasty's over by any means.
No,
it means that
figure some stuff out.
There's a year where you have to retool some things, and that's why we don't see back-to-back Super Bowl champions. It's really damn hard.
It's not normal to do that.
And they could do it this year too. They could find a way to do it this year. But everybody's blaming MVS for that.
They're 7-3.
Everybody's blaming MVS for that drop. And that rightfully so. You don't drop that ball as a professional. And that's a walk-in touchdown. If not, you're on the goal line getting ready to win the game. That is a signal of, all right, that drop, that lost the game. The bigger concern is what Russ said about those 3 consecutive games without scoring a touchdown in the second half. That is a trend. And they need to buck that if you are going to be a Super Bowl contending team. Can they figure it out this year? Yeah, it's going to be really damn hard to, though, because trade deadline has come and gone, and what you have is what you got. And you've got to figure out a way to win football games when there's a whole heck of a lot of talented rosters around the league. That's tough, man.
It is, and there's not going to be any quick, easy fix for it. But
I have one gripe with that game. Can I call for a rule change?
On.
Yeah, I'll get to that next. First is Big Kahuna Sports Center.
You ever had a Big Kahuna Burger?
This is Rivalry Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by PG Long.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, Oregon quarterback Bo Nix has been named Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week. This after throwing 6 touchdowns in the first half and throwing for over 400 yards in Saturday's win over Arizona State. Oregon State's Damian Martinez named one of 10 semifinalists for the Doak Walker Award. That's given to the nation's top running back. In the NFL, The Steelers fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada this morning. Pittsburgh offense ranks 28th in points per game, 28th in yards per game, and 31st in passing yards per game. They've been outscored in every game so far this season. This marks the first time the Steelers have made a midseason change at head coach or coordinator since 1941. Coming off a bye week, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick says he'll wait until Sunday to name a starter at quarterback. Mac Jones was benched late in the fourth quarter of Week 10's loss to the Colts. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews will have ankle surgery today and is likely out for the year, but head coach John Harbaugh says there's a chance he could return if Baltimore makes a deep playoff run. And the Trailblazers finish in-season tournament group play tonight in Phoenix against the Suns. 6 o'clock tip on Root Sports. No Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Robert Williams, or Ish Wainwright. Malcolm Brogdon and Jamari Bouye are both questionable. The Blazers are 12.5-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust, Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan. Winter
of last night's game, right at the beginning of the second quarter, the Philadelphia Eagles are moving the ball right down the field there, and Jalen Hurts throws the ball towards A.J. Brown. It gets intercepted by Ladarius Sneed. You see this play? Sneed pops up, and A.J. Brown strips the ball from him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a heads-up play because, like the peanut punch that got the ball out for Travis Kelce in the second half, I think that it is one of the things that does not get taught enough to defensive players, but it should be the biggest focal point is get the ball back for your offense.
Yes.
And if you have a tackle secured or if you have another guy around, you should punch, rip, strip the ball out. And you don't really see it all that much. You don't even see guys like wrap up anymore. But
guys who are good at it are really good at it.
A.J. Brown let Ladarius Sneed get up and then just rip the ball right out of his hands. And then they went and they reviewed it, and they said because A.J. Brown's shin touched Ladarius Sneed's shin as he was getting up.
Down by contact.
He's down by contact. And I was like, that is correct, but I don't like it one bit. Like, the whole spirit of it was A.J. Brown was like, I think I can get this ball out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bigger and stronger than him. I'm going to rip the ball away from this dude.
I'm going to big boy him as soon as he stands up.
And he did.
Yes.
And it was an amazing play.
Yeah.
And that's when I look at both of these teams, both the Eagles and the Chiefs, they have guys that, what's the separator in a league full of freaks is the football awareness and IQ across the board, right? Like quarterbacks all have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in a game where everybody is gotten their doctorate in the game of football, like you have those guys that are even smarter.
Yes.
And that is what I loved about, you get that punch out of Travis Kelce, you get a play like that where Ladarius Sneed made a phenomenal play, and then A.J. Brown makes an even better play. Like those...
Anything you can do, I can do better.
And that's why it was... That was a sloppy, great football game.
It was a 1,000 IQ play.
It was awesome. It was... It was such a good football play by A.J. Brown. And to this texture who says forward progress is stopped, no, he wasn't. He absolutely was not. He was up and A.J. Brown just ripped the ball right out of his hands. Not forward progress stopped. He allowed him to get up. His shin touched it, and that's what it was, and that was ridiculous. I do not like that play.
Yeah, it seems
Chiefs
like
fan.
the I don't know, the marking of a player being down should be something that's done consciously.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always been the intent of the rule, at least.
Sure. I wanted that one.
Make sure you put a hand, two hands, fall on the guy, whatever it is.
And you go back to football awareness too. The play that you loved out of that game was Jalen Carter too, as right before the half,
just diving between the center's legs,
which I would have been furious about because the halftime over, first half over wouldn't have hit. But as Mahomes was trying to spike the ball, Jalen Carter dives in between the legs of the center and puts his hands out, and the ball bounced off his hands and it hit the ground. But that would have been a ridiculous interception.
That's a billion IQ play.
Yeah, there was and I've seen this before, you don't see it really with shotgun snaps because the trajectory is different, but there used to be like nose tackles that if they had like quick hands, if they were under center, they'd try to swipe at the ball and try to cause a fumble as the ball's being snapped. You try to swat it away. You got to be ridiculously quick, and it never really worked.
Yeah.
But
if you just had immaculate timing.
Yeah, and you could do it, but and you could never get away with it in the NFL because those guys snap the ball a billion miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like you've got to...
It comes with some stank on it.
They got some callous butt cheeks because they hit the top of that quarterback's hand real hard.
Yeah.
Real hard.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's another high football IQ play. Monday Night Football was great. We deserved it.
It was two very good teams executing on a relatively high level, but it was more counterpunching than I thought it was going to be.
I think we get a great, like the week games this week. Monday night was great.
Hey,
I think Thursday's going to be awesome.
We're now legally able to flex.
Hey!
All national TV games can be flexed out for the rest of the year.
Look at that.
No more crappy football.
Did you notice that they were really pushing that, hey, guys, please watch Friday. Please. Jets, Dolphins.
Oof. Oof.
That ain't it, boss. It's like,
I'm out.
yeah, and especially like, well, I mean, that game's gonna be earlier, but I mean, we got the Civil War locally. Like, we're not gonna care about that here. That game, the Civil War, is gonna be far more entertaining than Dolphins, Jets. And the Dolphins aren't gonna play well because it's in New York City. What's the temperature gonna be there?
A bajillion.
47 degrees.
Half of what it
is
is
the
in Miami.
high.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 47 degrees there.
Well, but the good news is you don't have to pick between the Civil War and that game because it's a noon kick.
Yeah, I know, but
you can watch them both.
I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
Nope.
Don't want that.
I don't want to see what's his name.
Well,
who
Dusty,
are they
I don't-
starting?
Dusty, you don't have
Boyles.
to worry about it.
Yes.
You're working anyways.
Nate Boyles.
Tim Boyle.
You guys are
Tim
you guys-
Boyle?
You guys are both working.
Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle?
Yeah. The guy
The guy
runs
from Columbia?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's got it all, man.
Russ just rebooted.
Yeah.
Gert.
Yeah. Well, isn't Timmer's kid?
Sure.
What's the other guy? Gert Boyle. Has he got his mom strapped to the top of the car? Those commercials were awesome.
Yes.
You guys don't have to worry about it though. You're working, so
That's right. We'll be there.
All damn day.
sucks to suck.
It's awesome. It's well. You know what to do with that one. You know what to do with that one.
On it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to we got a little bit more in the NFL because
Lots more.
Yeah.
The
It was a
NFL?
busy day.
Yeah.
It was a busy day. Ain't got nothing on Matt Canada right now. Goodness gracious almighty. The Steelers finally do it. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. now they can only blame
It's the Steelers.
for any of the offensive ineptitude. Matt Canada fired as the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. They're bottom 5 in nearly every category offensively, except for scoring, which is a weird one. But when you take into account that the Steelers have generated the second most turnovers in the NFL and have the best turnover margin in the NFL at plus 11, you can say, oh, short field, that's how they do it. Matt Canada's tenure ends in Pittsburgh with the Steelers only averaging 217 yards passing and 108 yards rushing per game. That's mind-blowing to think about.
There's a clip that has been circulating from Barstool Sports this morning of Matt Canada celebrating a win, hugging another coach.
Yeah.
And Chris Boswell comes out heading to the locker room
Yeah.
and says, "It ain't because of you. I can tell you that much."
That's a tough one. That's when you're
God.
when you're catching strays from the kicker. That's tough. Never, not once, did the Pittsburgh Steelers have 400 yards 400 yards of offense in a game.
We started the season at 34 games, and we're 10 weeks in
Yep.
the Steelers. So they made it to 44 games under Matt Canada with a single game of getting 400 yards, which coming into the season, when I did the numbers behind it, it was essentially 25% of all teams have had, every week, it was like a 25% chance of a team having 400 yards. So despite there being a 25% chance of any given week that they would have 400 total yards, they did not do it for over 40 weeks.
Well, to put that in perspective, they didn't do it one time. There are two teams that currently average 400 yards per game in the NFL, the Dolphins and the Lions. So they never eclipsed 400 yards of total offense, and that's just wild to think of. And look, more so than just like raw numbers in that data, you can just see that Kenny Pickett isn't growing as a quarterback, and that could be Kenny Pickett, but it also it's a big part of that offense. It's just not right, and they are not fully void of weapons in Pittsburgh. And the fact that you're able to rush for over 100 yards a game, that's pretty impressive in this version of the NFL. But you have got to be better. And I think it's incredible to think of the fact that they still are a winning team despite all of this. There's somehow, some way they are 2 games over 500, and they are offensively inept. And
outgained in every game.
In every single game this year.
Yeah.
They have been outgained. And that, on top of the fact that you are actually seeing not just a stagnant, but at times regression from Kenny Pickett, you've got to make a move. And so now they're going to have new offensive coordinators taking over. Eddie Faulkner and Mike Sullivan are going to kind of split duties, where it sounds like Faulkner is going to be the guy that does all of the preparations, and then in-game play calling is going to be Mike Sullivan, who has experience doing it before, but the fact that his name doesn't sound familiar to you is probably all you need to know about his successes being a play caller before. But Mike Tomlin talked about the firing and the process of it at his press conference today.
You know, there's a lot of layers to it. Obviously, all of the things that you suggest are true. Our most recent performance, a component of it, but you know, I just think you know when you're there. To be blunt and short about the answer. Again, not saying that flippantly, not taking the situation lightly at all, but just having been in the role that I've been in for some time, you just know when you're there, and usually it's a totality of a myriad of variables.
So you look at the performance that he's mentioning. They lose 13-10 to the Browns, and Kenny Pickett goes 15 of 28 for 77 yards when you have a sack-adjusted yardage. They rush the ball for 172 yards, and they're going against one of the best defensive teams in the NFL in the Cleveland Browns. But that level of offensive ineptitude is, I mean, you cannot – when you rush for 172 yards and you only throw for 77, like –
okay, quarterback plays a big part of this.
Gross.
And Pittsburgh just – outside of Ben and Bradshaw, I mean, they've you know, it hasn't.
Bill O'Donnell took him to a Super Bowl.
Like I said, outside of Ben and Bradshaw, there's really not been a ton to write home about there as far as pushing the ball down the field with any level of certainty. But just as a numbers breakdown, I went and looked up teams to 400 total yards in the last 2 weeks alone. How many teams would you say have 400 total yards in the last 2 weeks?
6. I'd say 6. 2 weeks? 6?
It is 11.
11. That's almost twice as many.
And if I go to 3 weeks, it goes to 17.
Wow. I think that with what we heard Tomlin say right there, it also goes to, I mean, this is an organization that they're not knee-jerk. They do not have reactions like this often. It's the first time since 1941. Hell, Pearl Harbor, attack on Pearl Harbor hadn't even happened the last time they fired a head coach or a coordinator mid-season. Like, this is a franchise that is built in stability, and I think it's really interesting that Tomlin, he didn't even need to consult his GM or his owner before making this move. He had the autonomy to go and do it because he knew he had their blessing already. And
who's going to tell Mike Tomlin no?
Art Rooney? No. Art Rooney, no. But hey, Steelers fans, Danny's black heart is full today because you had your firing fix today. You got your firing fix. It's good.
The Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Yeah.
4 games this year with over
they're pretty
400
good.
yards of offense.
Pretty good.
But they've done it 4 times this year. The Steelers have not done it in over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man.
Not good. Not
Goodness.
Not
Brian Ferentz is embarrassed for you.
Yeah. 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. All right, hour number 2, we start diving into the Civil War. Danny Dusty on the Fan. and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. We got the Ducks Beavs coming up Friday, 1 o'clock, or is when our pregame coverage starts from down in front of the Mashofsky Center, leading up to a 5:30 kick between Oregon and Oregon State.
How's our weather looking?
Oh, it's going to be crisp, cool, and sunny, I believe. I don't know. Russ, you do the weather for it.
Yeah, on the day of the game.
You haven't looked?
What am
I have looked.
meteorologist?
I think it's going to be, yeah, you are. No, you're a
Weather reporter?
weather reporter. Yeah, I trust you on all those things. Yeah,
that's
high
a-
of
Boy,
48,
that's a
low of
misplaced.
31, sunny, baby. Sunny.
AccuWeather has it as a low of 25. So
I don't think it's going to get that cold. Guys, you
did-
can't be talking to me like that.
does it get that cold down there?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Well, no cloud cover, man.
I guess.
No cloud cover. It gets chilly at night.
I'll tell you what, man. Last week at Reeser, it sucked. Like everybody I talked to went down there said it was horrid,
Well, it's just raining.
just pouring and
rain.
just cold as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So-
was not great weather last weekend. But this is going to be fantastic weather. Just a little bit cold. No excuses for anybody, huh? And I'm looking forward to this game because, look, there are so many storylines heading into this thing that, I mean, you have what sucks is that it's not a chance for both teams to go to the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah.
It's winning, you're in for Oregon. And for Oregon State, it is still jockeying for bowl positioning, but it would have been a lot more fun if it was for a seat at the table in the Pac-12 championship game. That is gone, but anytime you have a rivalry game, this thing has been played 126 times.
Yeah,
it's the fourth longest running rivalry in college football.
I do not get this line. I do not get 13. It opened at 14.
Yeah.
I think Oregon, stylistically, they match up very well. But we just saw one of the best offenses in the entire country get held to 22 by this team.
Something has been right with Washington
Sure.
as of late. And, like, again, we shouldn't hold that against Washington
No.
because they keep winning.
Yes.
But I think that what that is if you look at the metrics of Oregon's expectation versus their performance,
Sure.
they are outperforming even what the adjusted expectations have been. And, like, just look no further than, like, Arizona State's not good.
Mhm.
They are not good. But they
They've
are
pummeled them.
absolutely dropping the hammer on teams that are not very good. And, like, there has not been that drop-off. This is going to be a team that will play them a lot tougher. Look, in all honesty, Oregon's only had 2 games that have been close. They're 1-1 in them.
Yeah.
They beat Texas Tech, and they blasted, Utah, which we thought was going to be close. But then they lost the other one, which was Washington.
Yes.
Like, we thought they were going to have, like, 3 games that are going to be really tight, or 4, because we thought that USC was going to be closer than it was. And I don't care that it was a 9-point game. That game was, you never had the feeling like Oregon was going to lose that game.
No, a minor pucker factor hit in the fourth quarter, but that's it.
But right there is why I don't even think it was that minor. Like, looking at that team in
I'll
that
tell you,
stadium,
from the fans in that stadium that were around me got very tight and very quiet, and there was a lot of, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I never got that sense there because they controlled the game.
Oh, they did, 100%.
They controlled the game. And I think another factor of this is the level of play you're seeing from Bo Nix.
Yes.
Bo Nix is not just, like, on pace to set this completion percentage record in college football, which is mind-blowing. He's completing over 78% of his passes
Which
on
is
the year.
really good.
He is doing it with a protection of the football that we have not seen. And I
Not
don't
with
know
this
if we've
volume
ever
of
seen
attempts.
ever.
No.
Because he has 35 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this year. That has not been done in like all of this, according to when they all dive into the research since at least 2000. And if it hadn't happened since 2000, I would venture to guess that it probably hasn't happened because the efficiency of passers has gone exponentially through the roof over the last 23 years.
Yeah, like, efficiency 25 years ago, 30 years ago was completing 60% of your passes.
And I think that is where that line comes from. I don't trust it, though, because of the fact it's a rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
I watched with my own two eyes Oregon build a lead last year, and Oregon State just play within themselves, continue just to run the damn football. And look, Oregon melted down in that game.
Sure.
The punt, the fact that they gave them short field, and they allowed Oregon State to run the ball.
And they got mauled.
And win that game. Okay. I think those are all the kind of the contributing factors to this the 14-point lead that it opened with and 13.5 to what it's been bet down to. I think this game is going to be close because Oregon State is very well coached and they run the ball. And just like with Bo Nix, it is keep the ball out of, or just like with Michael Penix last week, keep the ball out of Bo Nix's hands and good things are going to happen. Oregon State has been playing a lot better defensively. They have been.
There's this sentiment too, and this is from the Vancouver Forward text line. Given the 3 gut-punching losses, the conference imploding, OSU being left behind, and now no chance to get to the conference championship game, I have never been less enthusiastic about a Civil War game. I have heard this sentiment from more than a few Beaver fans, and I know a couple folks that cover the Beavs that I've talked to have said, this isn't USC like rolling over and showing their belly like they did against UCLA, but there is a concern, a worry that Oregon State, because of those 3 losses, and honestly, the Washington one shouldn't be something that kills you. It's the Washington State one. That's the one that kills you. Arizona's a very good
400
team.
yards through the air.
Yeah, that if you don't lose that game, you're in a different position right now. You maybe not going to a conference championship game, but you're going to a really good bowl game if you win this game.
Heck yeah.
So that part of it, I think, is probably there. But I do wonder, because the fairy tale story is gone. You can't get to the conference title game. You can't plant this flag of like it. We are the savior of the Pac-12. We're the true heirs. Go full Game of Thrones, but you can still play a massive spoiler.
Well, and I think looking at this historically, one of the things that has always been great about this rivalry is that when one team has nothing to play for and the other has everything, I think that we've seen some of the best games. Some of the best games in this series have happened when you get that, right? When the War of the Roses, when Oregon State fans all thought that there was at 08. They thought a win and they're in the Rose Bowl, and Oregon went and just trounced them, right? And it was like an upset that had, all the makings of it. You have when they went color on color down at Autzen Stadium and it came down to stuffing a fly sweep on the final play of the game. Like, you have had so many of these games where you could play a spoiler to the other guy's season and you get that inspired effort. And that's what rivalries are all about, man. And that's why I don't trust the 14, because if there's a coach that can get through the importance of this rivalry to anybody, I think Jonathan Smith is going to be that damn guy.
Because he's been that guy on both sides.
Yeah, and for Oregon, they're riding this FIBU mantra that they have now. Have you seen this? Lanning wearing he unveiled it in their little cinematic recap that they did.
Which are always incredibly good.
He took off his polo after they beat USC, and he had a T-shirt on that said FIBU.
So this is a guy who grew up around FUBU, clearly.
Yeah, FEBU. I think you can figure out what the first word is, and I like you. Everybody's like trying to parse through it, and I think it's like everybody but us. Like they're on a one-track mind. Yeah, where it is, and this is the crazy part that you keep seeing. They bought into it over the course of the years. It's even after the Portland State game, Dan Lanning in the first press conference of the year said, "It's Oregon versus Oregon." It's Oregon versus Oregon.
Built on substance.
Not Michigan versus everybody. Not Ohio. You see, Ohio State is Ohio State versus the world now. They have that going into this.
God, I hate into this week so much.
But like it has been Oregon versus Oregon, and I think that this is it's lining up. I think it'll be a great game in Eugene. I don't see the blowout.
I see the potential for it, but I if you're asking me the likelihood of the blowout occurring, less than 15%.
And if Oregon blows out Oregon State, I would be surprised, but that would also be that key indicator that Oregon's playing at another level right now. And that would set up a Pac-12 championship game that sends the winner to the college football playoff.
We're going to need to talk about that when it gets down to it, because that's super interesting to me, that if that happens, both teams would have beaten each other once, but one on a neutral field, and so they go.
Well, they're conference champion.
Well, I know, but I mean, it's interesting to me that they're the conference champion, even though that they have the same record.
Well, you win the conference championship game.
But the other team won more conference games during the conference.
No, they didn't. They would have the same.
They don't do that like in the NBA Finals.
Well,
it's not like, you win the NBA Finals, you're the champion. It doesn't matter if you have less regular season wins than the team you beat.
But you also, when you get there, you're seeded, right?
Well, I mean, they're kind of seeded
Washington
because
would
they're
be
the
the
top two
home
teams.
team.
But again, you have to go through like multiple levels.
I don't understand. I don't follow.
It made more sense when we had the divisions, the North and the South. As dumb as that is.
No. Let's get to that because Jed Fish is crowning a champ.
Yes, this is
He's
why I
crowning a
wanted to talk
champ,
about this.
And I don't. I think I'm as confused about what you're saying as I was about Jed Fish. Next on the Fan. Yeah, yeah. I still am having troubles with where your line of thinking, but let's let Jed Fish speak, and then maybe we'll have clarity because you are confused about how Washington could beat Oregon in October, and then if Oregon beats them in December in a conference championship game on a neutral field, they would be crown champs, right?
Not confused about it. Just why let's say that everything flips.
Yeah.
Let's say Oregon wins by 4 on a neutral field.
Yeah.
Why does that now carry more weight?
Because when you're playing and where you're playing.
And
that's a big, those are two very big factors.
I understand that. But if you're,
it's a conference championship game.
Well, this is not something that's unique to college football.
No, it's not. But again, it is unique to college football, though, because the college football is the only one who takes and makes their own selections, not based on performance or record. They're making subjective claims, and that's where it differs from me.
Wouldn't the most recent performance be the one that you could go off of too?
Sure, but also does it not matter?
I may understand
this
if
is like
you
the
were
regular
saying
season
like
not mattering in basketball kind of a deal.
If Washington blew them out in Seattle, but that wasn't the case.
No,
either.
I'm saying let's say again that it's close on both sides.
Well, then a neutral field means a lot.
Okay, let's say it's a neutral field. Let's say it's a 2-point win for Oregon.
Yeah. Then they won.
Okay, sure, but
the conference championship.
How much more is 2 versus 4 if home field advantage is typically worth 3?
Then it would be.
So it'd be literally a 1-point difference is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to base it on, and not the entire body of work.
They also said what? Well, then why would you hold it against Oregon for avenging that loss in their entire body of work?
But that's exactly what I've been saying. Is that shouldn't the committee then be looking at getting both teams in? We talked about this yesterday. I don't think it would happen.
All things being considered, you have to take the conference champion, which is they value conference champions.
And also, they've proven in the past that a loss earlier in the season is not as bad as one late in the season.
Oh, yeah. I 100% know that. But I also look at this and go, why do we call a team a conference champion if the team in the regular season was undefeated in the conference? The team that went in there lost to that team and now avenged that loss. How does that equate to the conference champion?
Well, let's play Jed Fish and then we'll get to that. Here's Jed Fish because he's crowning himself a champion.
I told our team yesterday we're Pac-12 South champions.
Love it.
They just decided to change the rules of the Pac-12 championship game a year ago. But if you look at it, we clinched it. We clinched the Pac-12 South. So our guys understand that they had that's a nice little feather in their cap, and to finish going into week 11 to finish ahead of the other programs, regardless of the outcome of the final week. The second part of it is there's no concern at all in my mind about the emotions of our team for this game. We are playing our bitter rival, and it is a duel in the desert. It is 2 teams in the state of Arizona going at it, and I have no concern that no matter what happens on Friday night between the 2 Oregon schools, that our play will be any different at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday.
Pac-12 South champs!
He's not wrong.
It doesn't exist.
He's not wrong, though.
Well, there isn't a South.
It is interesting that they changed the rule in what would be the last year.
Well, it wasn't. They did it before.
Oh, I know, but I mean, what's going to end up being the last year?
Yeah, and the reason why they did it, and this is what is confusing about the argument, is that so you would rather have a team with more conference losses playing the conference championship game?
No.
Oh.
No, I agree that Oregon and Washington should both go as Oregon wins, 100%.
Okay.
But I'm looking at it from the college football playoff perspective. That's what I'm looking at this from. As in, I understand that it's a conference title game. I get that.
Well,
but it's also in this unique circumstance where one is undefeated and one has the one loss, that you're putting them on equal playing ground. If it's if the game is close,
I think that what is here is it is equal playing ground. It's equal footing. It's not a road game in a hostile environment. On the road, both teams will have to travel to Las Vegas.
Sure.
It is a more level playing field than going on the road.
We'll see.
Winning on the road is really hard.
It is.
And that, I think road and home games, especially in college football, there is no There's no equal to it in any sport of what home field advantage is and what a home advantage is. Even if Washington travels better to Allegiant Stadium, it won't be the same as Oregon's inability to operate at times because of the noise in the atmosphere of Husky Stadium.
My pushback on that is again, it's a little bit closer tangentially, but you were down in Oregon, Georgia.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for Oregon to operate?
Hold on. You are saying about a neutral site in which that is literally
It's 2 hours away.
Yeah. It's not
Sure.
not 3 states away.
Okay. But
It's not going to be nearly the same.
let's flip this though. Let's say it's USC or UCLA. It's only 3 hours away,
Yeah.
and they traveled well. Would that not be a neutral site game?
It is a neutral site game, but it
That was
again,
influenced? But that's the
it's
thing.
not going
If they-
to. It will not be anywhere near it. Now you're pulling things out of the sky and trying to throw it against the wall.
I am, because that's what the freaking committee is doing.
No,
here.
they're not.
They are.
No, they're looking at a team in the final week of the season, and they can avenge their only loss.
Sure.
And if they do that, then they are on a neutral field late in the year.
To me, it matters how much they avenge it by.
Why?
If it's tooth and nail, it comes down to the last possession, and it's 2 points, 3 points. The same way it came down to the Washington-Oregon game. Why we're still sitting here talking about, well, Oregon's still the more complete team. It's like, Washington beat them.
They did, and they absolutely did.
And if
Yeah.
Oregon's still the more complete team, it's like,
But if
it's
2 months,
I hate the sliding scales.
but if almost 2 months later,
sure,
Washington has not been playing
Mhm.
at the same clip, you can see it with your eyes, and you can see it with how their games have played out. It would almost be 2 months after the fact that they played each other that Oregon then would avenge that loss. And
would you
like,
say it's more impactful for?
Hold on. But if you don't allow Washington, if you don't allow for Oregon to improve over the course of the year, I think that's why these games are actually more important, that you have teams that can improve over the course of the year. Injuries can happen over the course of the year. You can have teams that regress over the course of a year. And those are all major factors as to who should be in or out of the college football playoff. So like the spin to that would be, to everything that you're saying, is why should you punish a team that has improved over the 2 months since they last played and would maybe be playing at a better level? And if Michael Penix, if that rib injury, that is the midsection injury, is actually a thing that is affecting his play, shouldn't that be taken into consideration too?
Sure.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying this as some way to like the text line saying that I'm saying this as a way to downplay Oregon. No, I don't
think you're doing that.
No, I'm saying they should both go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because the way you're looking at this, if this game is close, it should show that they're both really good teams that are deserving.
They should both go, but it won't happen because they're the Pac-12.
That has been my point in all of this.
But and then you go to which team is playing better now.
And I look at that and I just like, I don't like that, because it devalues the previous 11 weeks.
Yeah, 12 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it does. I think it just puts that emphasis, and I think that avenging a loss is important.
I do too.
Yeah.
I am not saying this to devalue Oregon in any way, shape, matter, or form. I'm saying this is a matter of if this game is close, why is it now? Because it's the same argument that I hear in the NBA of devaluing the regular season. Just get there. In this case, just get to the conference title game.
Yeah. I think that one of the big problems here is that, like, you're playing better later in the year. And I don't think of it as big of a deal as you do, because of the fact that, like, we all want the teams that are peaking at the right time of the year. And if Washington wins the second one, wouldn't they just be the better team?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean,
I think in that scenario,
it's
easy. Yes.
But I know. But if Oregon wins, then they're the better team at this point in the year, and they would both have the same number of conference losses. And so you're not going to hold Oregon out because they're playing better at the end of the year and they avenge that loss.
And that's ultimately my point.
You know what they should do? Have a 12-team playoff.
That's
what they need to do.
Which is why I've been begging for that for so long.
We should have it.
Because right now, both teams would be in hands down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And hell, you might even be looking around at Oregon State won. You might be going, Beavers, maybe? Sneak them in? All right, now that I've sufficiently pissed everybody off. Wonderful.
My head hurts.
Yep. Let's get to today's worst day on the web, where how can you manage to not piss off a loved one by telling them that you don't like their Thanksgiving dish?
This is big.
It's big. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
This is Rivalry Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by PG Long.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings tossed with a perfect dry rub and served with a killer trio of sauces online at bigschicken.com. First on The Fan, Oregon quarterback Bo Nix has been named Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week after throwing 6 touchdowns in the first half and throwing for over 400 yards in Saturday's win over Arizona State. Elsewhere, Oregon State's Damian Martinez named one of 10 semifinalists for the Doak Walker Award. That's given to the nation's top running back. In the NFL, the Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Pittsburgh's offense ranks 28th in points per game, 28th in yards per game, and 31st in passing yards per game. This marks the first time they've made a midseason change at head coach or coordinator since 1941. Coming off a bye week, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick says he'll wait until Sunday to name a starter at quarterback. Mac Jones was benched late in the fourth quarter of Week 10's loss to the Colts. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews will have ankle surgery today and is likely out for the year, but head coach John Harbaugh says there's a chance he could return if Baltimore makes a deep playoff run. And on the hard court, the Trailblazers finish in-season tournament group play tonight in Phoenix against the Suns. 6 o'clock tip on Root Sports. No Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Robert Williams, or Ish Wainwright. Malcolm Brogdon and Jamari Bouye are both questionable. The Blazers are 12.5-point underdogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. every week with Danny and Dusty
Brought to you by PG Long.
on 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Thanksgiving's just around the corner. Whether you're doing Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving, sometimes you just got to tell your friend or family member that their special X meal sucks.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a tough one that everybody has to go through. And there's nuance to it when you have to tell your loved one why you're not eating their dish. But there is a lot of different avenues that you can go.
I had this. I had a friend who had a family mashed potato recipe. I can't remember what the hell was in it. It was something atrocious. Oh, liver.
Potatoes?
Liver.
Ew.
Oh, God.
So my family is not immune to doing like a meat in the mashed potatoes. Like they've done like an everything mashed potato, which is like cheese and cooked bacon, which they're incredibly good. But yeah, there was mashed potatoes with liver in them, and I took a bite and
That is disgusting.
the gag reflex that I had from that dish was horrendous.
This is what needs to be stopped.
Oof.
Like, and I think you can't, like, everyone's like, oh, it's an old family recipe. Well, you only bust it out once a year for a reason.
Because it sucks.
Because it's not that good, right? Like, this is like, I'm a fan of green bean casserole, right? I'm a fan of green bean casserole. I like green bean casserole.
I'm not a green bean guy, so.
That one's polarizing.
I know. I'm a fan. But you put mushrooms in that son of a gun?
You're out.
I'm out.
What's cream of mushroom soup?
What?
It's cream of mushroom soup.
I know, but
in a
no,
green
you
bean casserole.
put actual. There's a difference. Cream of mushroom soup I can handle because it's like the essence of mushrooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will you put the actual mushrooms in there? I'm out. I'm not a mushroom guy.
Okay, yeah. See, I don't add extra mushrooms.
You don't put extra mushrooms in there. It is when you put the mushroom in. I'm like, what are we doing here?
What's the Thanksgiving dish that has the most variety to how good or bad it can
Stuffing.
be? Right?
Stuffing.
Yep.
It can be too dry. It can be
also another
too
one I've
moist.
seen with liver in it too.
What? Where are you going for Thanksgiving? 1930?
It's the freaking Midwest, man.
God, these people need to be stopped.
Yes, they do. There's another weird ingredient I've seen in stuffing too. I didn't eat it because I knew it was in there. God, what the hell was it? I can't remember now. But
some people like to put nuts in theirs.
That's
nuts
also
and
weird.
stuffing. Yeah, no. My mom will put in, and this is like this is really tough. I love my mom. I hope she's not listening to this. She'll put nuts and cranberries into the stuffing. Ooh. And it's like, I would rather just have the stuffing part. You know, I can have, if you want to put a bowl and put some cranberries next to it, go ahead.
Oh, and also stuffing cooked in the bird, dressing cooked outside of the bird.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
Brussels sprouts. That's what it was.
Ew.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What? Brussels sprouts in what?
In stuffing.
In stuffing?
Yeah. And I was like, that is terrible. I hate Brussels sprouts and green beans. So.
Oh, by the way, also, if you want to jazz up a green bean casserole a little bit, do it Italian style, you'll throw in a little bit of fresh rosemary, some pecorino romano, and use pancetta.
What did you put in yours?
Cheese.
Some fresh rosemary and some pecorino romano cheese and some pancetta.
Well,
it's fantastic.
I didn't know where you were going with the pecorino. I thought, all right. And then, like,
you definitely have to pay extra for the pecorino.
Yeah, I was. But this is a good one. What's the deal with the nuts? Right? We have to make two different.
What's the deal with grape nuts?
What's the deal with that?
No grapes, no nuts.
We have to do this with my family as well, where we have sweet potato casserole. Right? It is really good. I have a bunch of monsters in my family that don't want. I think on top of the sweet potato casserole, you put some marshmallows on there, right? You brown those marshmallows up. It's delicious.
Marshmallows on what?
On sweet potato casserole. Like on top of the sweet potatoes casserole.
I don't do the sweet potatoes or yams.
I love sweet potatoes and yams are fine. What are you doing to them, you monster?
What? No,
I mean, that's pretty common.
Yeah, that is very common. They want to put pecans on them, and I'm
Also
like,
sucks.
No. You put the sweet potato casserole, you have the marshmallows on top, you brown them, and it is to die for.
Real quick, and this will get me killed. Pecan pie, pumpkin pie, both suck. The fruit pies are better.
Look, yeah, I'll agree with you.
Apple pie, blueberry, like peach, like literally anything else.
Pecan, I'll take it. I mean, you can keep your pecan pie. The pumpkin pie, I'll take. I'm not going to go like seek it out.
I'm pro pie.
Neither. I'm pro.
That's my
pro
pie.
fruit pie.
My wife does a pumpkin pie where she takes little
Key lime
dabs
pie?
of like yellow cake mix and drops little chunks of yellow cake mix and
look
stuff
at
in the pumpkin pie. It's delightful.
I'm
God, I
with
need to
this
come to the
texter.
Rust House.
Marshmallow's disgusting. Why would you ruin a good sweet potato dish by putting that garbage candy on top?
'Cause
Yes,
it's amazing.
I'm 100% with that.
It's
person.
amazing.
This is another
Well,
terrible
first off,
thing I've
those
seen.
four words don't go together. Good sweet potato dish.
Oh, see,
You're wrong on that.
I've gotten really in,
Majority rules here.
I did not really had sweet potatoes until my wife and I met, and she loves them. And probably once every 10 days, there's sweet potatoes cooked in the house, and she just roasts them in the oven with a little bit of olive oil and some seasoning. They're tasty, man. Yeah. But somebody else mentioned that the terrible stuffing thing that I've heard also as well. Oysters in stuffing.
Who are these people?
I'm telling you, man, people put weird crap in stuffing. Number one, I will tell you right now, I have been to a lot of like different Thanksgivings all over the country. Various places, big families, small families, traditional recipe, new recipe. Most of your stuffing sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, it does. It just does. Like there's been very few people that have like stuffing that you don't have somebody else at the whatever dinner you're at going, this stuffing's not very good.
Yeah.
Like you get the universal, this is good.
Hey, can we start this? Because like this happens a lot when you're like at a Thanksgiving dinner. You'll hear like the olds will start saying like, I saw it on the news, or I saw it on the TV, or I heard it on the radio, you know?
Yeah.
Let's just start this. So you can quite literally, you heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
Right here. You heard on the radio that it's not offensive if you don't eat a particular dish at a Thanksgiving. You're just saving it for other people to have. That's why you don't eat it, is because you want other people to enjoy it.
Exactly.
I
So
want them
now
to stop bringing it though.
if somebody says to you, hey, why don't you try this? It'd be like, I heard on the radio that it's the new trend is to save it for other people. And you can say that to people now. And if you ever need to go back to it, just timestamp this.
Yeah.
You know, go to the Service Patriots podcast and look up the November 21st edition of Danny and Dusty, and you'll be able to pull up and see, I heard it on the radio. Right there. It's not offensive.
I think the other way about this,
Saving it for everybody
you could also
else.
say you heard this on the radio.
Okay.
Tell them that their food sucks and to stop bringing it.
God, no.
Yes.
This is, okay.
I want Thanksgiving just theatrics. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion.
After
Tell
hearing
them their food sucks.
Or just bring up Danny's conference championship idea, and then you'll get another fight going on.
Yes!
Like you should hear this guy and what he thinks of conference championship games.
Is your Thanksgiving too calm? Invite me. I'll stir it up.
Goodness gracious.
I won't mention politics. I won't mention religion. I will cause a ruckus.
I'll just tell you your food sucks.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What are you monsters putting in your stuffing?
I understand after like you having liver and oysters in various dishes why you don't love Thanksgiving that much.
Thanksgiving is not my jam, and to be honest,
I love Thanksgiving.
I love like food from across the world. Like I will eat stuff from basically everywhere. Thanksgiving, my plate is the most basic ass plate you will ever see. And I will steer away from the turkey. Number one, I am pro ham and I am pro prime rib on Thanksgiving. If you have either of those, you are doing it right. If you have both, you are killing it.
You were in the American military, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, prime rib, Christmas.
Prime rib and ham Christmas.
Ham Easter.
Ham Easter, yeah.
See, my family does the prime rib and ham for all of the major holidays.
Yeah.
We'll still do a small turkey, but yeah,
turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, get some dressing on there, and then you got to have a butt ton of dinner rolls to sop
that's
up
the
potatoes and
Hawaiian
gravy
dinner
and stuff.
rolls is the way.
Oh, I'm just talking plain white.
Oh,
yeah, it's really good. Like I mean, you
not
can
when- not when-
soft,
some potato
spongy
ones.
ones.
not when the Hawaiians are there, man. The Hawaiians are the goat.
I don't need the sweetness with my mashed
No,
potatoes and gravy.
no, you need
Oh.
no, you
You
I'm
take-
with Rust
Oh,
on
the
this.
Why?
Hawaiian
You need-
roll with mashed potatoes
Perhaps
and some
a
ham
sourdough.
on the roll.
Now the Hawaiian rolls
Oh.
day after for the turkey sammies that you make, the
Make
little
it little
sliders.
sliders?
That now we're talking. Now I'm with you there.
See, I'm
But
pro
I'm talking
Hawaiian.
dinner. I want something with a little bit of substance that can absorb. I want some gravy absorption that needs to happen there. Needs to have a little bit of it has some structure to it, so I can be a complete animal and use it along with my fork to shovel more food onto my fork.
There you go.
That's what I'm looking at. I have a feeling what we're going with here is we need to come up with a bingo card of sorts at some point. Oh, well, it'll have to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Of the Thanksgiving bingo card of things that will piss that family right off.
Ooh. We can
Things
work
that
something
could
out.
be like,
Like, do we get specific within politics, or is that just one like general one?
I think there's a couple of avenues that you can go with, right? That'll just upset
Yeah.
people. I think maybe Danny's conference championship game ideas are something that may
How to deal with
start
the
a fight.
homeless population in Portland.
Yeah, that is 100%
do it.
one.
Uh-huh.
Like if we have on the text line like pronouns because it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
You'll have somebody get just
You just need one.
absolutely upset
You
about
just need
it.
one.
Banned books.
Banned books is a
Ooh.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. We need these ideas for
Yeah.
tomorrow. Tweet us at Danny and Dusty, or you can send the text in at 503-864-6326. We need to come up with this tomorrow.
You know what?
And we need to make
I'm
a
gonna put a
graphic.
tweet out during the break.
Yeah, we need to put a graphic together of your
Thanksgiving argument
Thanksgiving
bingo card.
argument bingo card.
I like it.
All right.
Well, it appears a NFL player might have added to the Thanksgiving disruption bingo card. We'll get to that and more, but first, it's not that time. Never mind. It's a quick break. Danny Dusty, 10 the Fan. second change. But I also think Scoot's probably about a week away. So they're getting healthier. Malcolm probably not, if not tonight, then tomorrow. I would say Scoot's probably a week away. And then I still think Anthony, even though I think he's ahead of schedule, just looking at him, talking to him, I still think the December 14th return, because they have 7 games between now and the 14th of December, but they have 3 days off after Thanksgiving. And then they go out, I have one game, and they go on a 5-game road trip. And I just don't, it's not impossible for Ant to make his return on the 5-game road trip.
I got a follow-up question here.
It's very unlikely that he's going to make a return on a road trip.
Follow-up question is, does it matter?
Yeah, for the watchability and for the progression
well, I know,
of
but
the other
like
guys.
when you say like in that, the whole thing is, does it matter? Like, does it matter if Ant is back? Like, don't rush him back.
Oh,
so
yeah,
why
no.
would you?
No, I
why,
think
if
he's
it's
ahead,
even
though.
close, why
Yeah.
would you even?
No, and I don't think they will. And I keep hearing a lot of people like, well, the Blazers need to change medical staffs. Just as an aside, the Blazers have changed medical staffs twice in the last 4 years.
Maybe that's a problem.
So stop yelling about medical staffs. I just stop.
Well, you got to blame it at something.
It's stuff happens, man. Go look at an injury report for like literally the Memphis Grizzlies. Go look at their injury report. It's half their team.
Blame Neil O'Shea.
I mean, that's fine. I'm okay. Anytime anybody wants to do that, I'm okay with it. I
Yeah.
think most people are.
Fire Terry Stotts.
Yeah. All right.
You know?
I mean, that worked for the Bucks, kind of, sort of. Not really.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worked out for the Bucks.
But they're still winning because of Giannis and Dame. All right, coming up next. 3 up, 3 down.
You say not going well there? They're 10-4.
No, I said not going well, but they still have Dame and Giannis.
I
Which
know.
is why they're, yeah.
I know, they're 10-4. We would love that not going well.
Yes, no, we would. Turns out having superstar talent can deal with dumb coaching.
Yeah.
Coming up next, 3 up, 3 down. Three things we did coming out of the NFL weekend. Danny and Dusty, 10 Fan. weekend. It was a fun weekend. It was a good weekend. The NFL, look, man, the story writers for the NFL, they've done a pretty damn good job for season number 67.
I think it's 103.
Well, I mean the NFL merger, post-merger.
It is. It really is. Everything is shaping up to be another wild finish. The NFC is just kind of
meh,
doo-doo. Kids would say mid.
Yes.
Very mid. But my first up on my 3 up, Jordan Love. Hey, Packer fans. Hey there, Packer fans. You got to play the LA Chargers on defense this week. Congratulations. Jordan Love looked really good, though. It's not just his numbers of, passing for over 300 yards, which
Who did he play against?
seemed like it would be impossible to do. Again, the Chargers. But his completion percentage wasn't great, but he made throws that I think we have not seen Jordan Love make before. He had one where he was rolling out to his left. He went back to the right in the middle of the field, which is usually no territory for him. He delivered a dart right across the middle, and even if it was against another team not named the Chargers, he would have threaded that needle. And when they needed points, he was able to orchestrate drives, and that is important moving forward for Jordan Love. Does it translate from week to week? No, but you get 1 week, and this week, Jordan Love was up.
Mine is going to go with making decisions. I know it's going to be really hard for me to beat the accusations of me not enjoying people getting fired, but the Pittsburgh Steelers made a change. The first time they've made a change midseason in 80-plus years.
I think that isn't just like an accusation. I think it's a fact.
Yeah,
You're addicted to getting people fired now.
I am now. God, you get a little bit, just a little power hungry, and this is what happens. But the Steelers needed this. I mean, this was worse than Grinch with USC. I don't know if it was worse than McDaniels with the Raiders. That was an S show. But the Steelers make a change, and now let's see what they can do with the hire going forward. Can they? I don't think anybody's going to pry Ben Johnson away from the Lions without giving a head coaching job, because the Lions can just say, we'll pay you more money.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the way that they go, but can they land their next OC hire? And can they maybe find a quarterback who's worth a damn?
I saw a mock draft. Pro Football Focus had Bo Nix going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Again, you and I have talked about this off air. If Bo Nix turns into more likable Kirk Cousins, that's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
That's a good quarterback.
Take a solid guy.
Yeah.
My second one is Bubba Water. Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Look, they have won 4 in a row. They are playing good football. And it's not just like they have 4 fraudulent wins. They've beaten, it started with the Packers. Okay win.
That's a fraudulent win.
Then you beat, but they're an okay team. Like a fraudulent win would be beating the Bears, which was their only other win before this. But you beat the Packers, you beat the Chiefs at home.
You beat a sick Patrick Mahomes.
You beat, who cares? You beat the Buffalo, but they couldn't win. Yeah. They beat the Buffalo Bills on the road, and then they beat the Minnesota Vikings. 2 close games, doesn't matter. They've won 4 games in a row, and Russell Wilson is not washed. He is not at all. And is he the guy he was in Seattle? No.
He had 5 straight games of under 200 yards.
He's playing a lot better now.
He has 1 game in his last 6 over 200 yards passing. Also,
who cares? They're
again,
4-0.
There's no style points in the NFL. You're entirely right. But
have
also,
you watched him though?
Yes. And also,
okay, then if you've watched him and you're not seeing a quarterback that is not washed, then I don't know what you're watching, because Russell Wilson is actually making plays. I'm not a Russell Wilson defender, but you got to give credit where credit is due. He is making plays again.
It's hard for me to say make plays when you're completing as many passes as Badgett with the Bears and putting up essentially the same numbers.
Just trying to win though.
But also, again, this you could say this is anti-Bronco because I'm a Raiders fan, but also I will say every one of those wins comes against either a bad team in the Packers or teams that have been in absolute dysfunction and disarray for the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay, the Chiefs can't score in the second half. The Bills, we don't know what the hell they are.
Defending Super Bowl team champion.
And have they not been in disarray?
Hold on. You're talking about a team that is 7-3.
Sure.
A team that is
what have they been in the last 4 games?
6-5.
What have the Chiefs been over the last 4 weeks?
They are 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
With one of those losses to the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
I'm not discrediting wins in the NFL.
No, I'm not. Again, I'm not discrediting.
And I'm not
just,
like Russell Wilson is also.
I'm highlighting this.
Better.
This reeks of Minnesota Vikings wins last year.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Nobody is saying that the Denver Broncos are like a championship caliber team, but Russell Wilson was written off, left for dead.
I'm still out.
They are winning football games, and he is playing far better than he did at the beginning of the year or at any point last year. And that's why Russell Wilson is up for me at number 2.
I said all of this, and now I'm going to go with my up. I'm going to give it to the Texans, who, in spite of poor quarterback play this weekend, continue to find ways to win. DeMeco Ryans has got that team playing incredibly well with a rookie quarterback who had his first real rough go of it. He also, here's an insane number for CJ.
Sure would have been nice if they could have won by 6 instead of 5.
Yeah, I know.
You're doing this after wins over the Cardinals, Bucks, and Bengals.
Yeah, well, one of them doesn't have the expectations heaped upon it. It is a sliding scale. It is 100%. I'm not arguing with it. But
everybody cashed in all their Broncos. All those Broncos chips are cashed in so long ago. And nobody's calling the Broncos great.
What did we think the Texans were going to be this year?
Oh, bad.
Very bad.
Yeah,
and they've been not even like okay. They've been good.
They have been, absolutely.
So I'm giving it the Texans their love. DeMeco Ryans has got that team playing incredibly well. C.J. Stroud, even after a bad game, gets them in a position to kick a game-winning field goal. He now has, in his first 5 home games, more passing yards at home than any quarterback ever through their first 5 games.
He's been outstanding. I don't think there's any question about it right now. He is the Rookie of the Year, for sure.
Oh, he's running away with it.
My third up, I got Brock Purdy and those San Francisco 49ers. They have a lull in every season with Kyle Shanahan. They went through a lull, and boy, was it ugly. Their losses to Cleveland, Minnesota, and Cincinnati. But they're getting back on track with the win in Jacksonville. It started a week ago. Then they absolutely mopped the floor with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 27-14, that's a rout in NFL standards. 34-3, the wake-up call is there, and they're starting to get healthy again. Brock Purdy going for 296 and 333. His safety blankets are back, and he's playing so much better. The one thing that is going to be a big question is, what does that defense look like moving forward without Talanoa Hufanga? The Crescent Valley product is an incredible safety, and he's done for the year with the torn ACL. That's huge for them.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's always bad when you have an injury. It's always bad when the injury comes when you get juked literally out of your knees.
I would say so.
That's terrible. I'm going to tell you here on the 49ers. The 49ers get healthy, and all of a sudden they look like world beaters again.
Yeah.
So my up is the 49ers' health.
Absolutely.
They have Ayuk back out there. They have Kittle back out there. They have McCaffrey back out there. And they have Purdy out there. And it turns out that when everybody's at least relatively healthy, because nobody's truly healthy this time of the year, they look like a world-beating squad again.
Yep. We've got, for my first down, I'm going Commanders football. Commanders football is...
inventing ways to lose to the Giants.
Sam Howell, he looked frazzled. 3 interceptions in that game, and all critical.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting him absolutely killed back there. Even though the Giants had 9 sacks allowed, 4 sacks, man. That is, it's brutal to kind of see him take those shots over and over and over again. This is a team that should be far better than what they are playing at right now. They should not be losing to the New York Football Giants. They're 4-7, and they're only 1-4 at home. And when Magic Johnson is tweeting negative things about the team that he owns, you know they're in trouble.
Gotta love a good
in the
Magic
most
Johnson
basic
tweet. Yeah.
terms ever.
We had 4 turnovers and my Commanders lost.
That's right.
That's basically the summation of...
I think it was actually pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Wow, my Washington Commanders turned the ball over 6 times today and gave the Giants 24 points off of turnovers. We lost 31-19.
Magic Johnson tweets are fantastic.
Thank you, Magic.
Appreciate it.
Nailing it.
Soon somebody will be tweeting about Brandon Staley losing his job.
Oh, that's what you're going with.
My first down is Brandon Staley. He's a dead man walking.
He sure sounds
there
like
is
it.
just there is no level of cheap that you convince me that the Spanos family has that he is the coach of the Chargers next season.
Yep.
You just can't.
Yeah.
It's done. The way what we played, the audio that we played yesterday was inexcusable.
It was really bad.
It's really bad. The team is defunct. there's no level of accountability on any level, and unfortunately he's got to go.
My second one is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, 7 catches for 44 yards in a touchdown last night, Monday Night Football, but 2 drops, and they were massive drops, and then the peanut punch for a fumble as you're going into the goal line. That is the difference between winning and losing the football game. And Travis Kelce, at the end of it, he took full accountability for it. That was a rough look for him, and they're looking for answers because that drive, they were on a 12-play, 65-yard drive. He fumbles in the red zone. That is brutal for the Kansas City Chiefs.
You hate to see it. Things you hate to see. Cincinnati Bengals built a team around Joe Burrow. They look to be really coming together at the right time and kind of doing what they do. They're typically a slow starting team. After coming so close so many times, they're not even going to have an opportunity this season.
Yep.
It's time to pack it up. The Bengals, there's no amount of patchwork with Jake Browning that you can do. There's no amount
he
of.
Looked awful.
It's bad. It's bad.
Really bad.
You hate to see a team that you look at and when healthy is a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
But without Burrow, they're fried. And the Bengals are now going to be in the draft preview selection for the rest of the season.
My final third down here is the Vrabel bump. Mike Vrabel did such a great job doing more with less in Tennessee for so long. They're really struggling now. They have lost 14 times in their last 17 games. Yep, you got that right. If you were to extrapolate where they're at this point in the season, you go a full 17-game season, they would be 3-14 on this year. And they lost their 9th game in a row on the road. 9 in a row they have lost on the road. 34-14. They got routed in every way possible by the Jacksonville Jaguars last weekend, including Will Levis, who everybody thought was the king of football, 13 of 17, 158 yards last week. It's tough.
My final down, the Cleveland Browns offense, in spite of having one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, it's being wasted.
Yeah.
Even with Deshaun Watson healthy, it was being wasted. As of right now, the Browns have total touchdowns, 20 from their offense. 20. Okay? The only teams with the worst, the Jets at 10, the Steelers at 15, Titans, Patriots at 15, Giants, Panthers, Falcons at 16, Raiders at 18, and the Rams and Cardinals at 19. You are essentially talking about the trash of the NFL.
It's really bad.
That's where their offense is. This is a stat that is blowing my mind. The Los Angeles Chargers have given up 2,916 yards passing for worst in the NFL, including 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Guess how many passing yards the Browns have given up this year?
Given up?
Yes. The Browns' passing defense. How many yards have the Browns given up this year?
I'm going to say in 10 games, I'm going to say that they've given up around 1,800.
Less than half, 1,437. The Chargers have given up.
Not less than half. Of
No.
1,800. Oh,
no.
Of the Chargers.
Of the Chargers.
Okay,
You're off by 400 yards.
I was like, yeah, that's
have
incredible.
Given up 9 total
That is
touchdowns.
incredible.
They are allowing teams to complete a league low 55% of their passes.
That's incredible, man.
They have
Their defense is elite.
world-beating defense.
Yeah. They're really good.
World-beating defense, and their offense is atrocious.
Yeah.
You are watching the Browns waste a world-class defense.
Yep, absolutely.
Hate to see it.
Well, it's what the Browns do, man. It's like they paid Deshaun Jackson all that money. They're not going to be, or Deshaun Watson. They're not going to be able to have all the money to pay anybody
for years
around him, and that defense is exquisite.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett is an absolute monster. He's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. That's it. 3 up, 3 down, 3 things we like, 3 things we didn't coming out of the NFL this week. Coming up next, we will dive into the world of college football again, where the Oregon Ducks are getting more and more praise heaped upon them by another former national champion, Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. country saying that the Oregon Ducks are playing, if not the best, some of the best football in the country. Was it Herb Street a couple weeks ago that had them as the team playing the best level in college football?
Yep.
And then I believe there was somebody else that was on the ESPN panel during the college football playoff. Oh, it was former Alabama quarterback.
McElroy.
Greg
Thank you.
McElroy.
McElroy was talking about how good they were playing, and in the midst of his resumes should matter spiel. Was it 2 weeks ago now? Now we have another voice being tossed on there, and Urban Meyer this isn't the first time he's said anything about the Ducks, but he continues to heap praise on the Ducks level of play.
No, I think they're as well-coached team in the country. I talked to Dan Lanning last week because I was just intrigued. Everything they do on offense, they try to, they bother the defense, whether it's empty, line up and empty, motion to back, Bucky Irving in the backfield, whether it's a Q run, whether it's the tempo. Everything they do on offense, they try to be a pain to on offense, they try to be a pain to the defense. But you know what? On defense, with Tosh Lupoy there, he does the same thing. They're doing simulated pressures. They're doing corner blitzes. I mean, every snap. And I'd like to think that's kind of like our Utah team was. And I asked him about that. And he said, yeah, he sits in the other meeting room. For example, he'll sit on the offensive side of the ball, and he'll hear what gives the offense problems. Then he'll walk in the defense room and they'll put it in. He'll sit in the defensive room and say, okay, this drives this defensive coach, which is crazy. He walks right over the other side and does it. So I think he's a star, Lanning. I think he's got not good players, great players. I think Bo Nix is having, are you kidding me? This transfer, 60-year guy, he manages it. So I think they're one of the top, I'd say top 3 teams in the country right now.
Sure.
They're playing like it,
yeah,
and they're preparing like it. But here's the thing with Lanning, and Lanning is getting his guys to play at an insanely high level right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch them on the surface, you're seeing touchdowns, you're seeing them now getting home on sacks, but the discipline with which they are playing is incredible, and their readiness for games. I mean, you saw screens last week against Arizona State where your defensive end is catching a wide receiver as he gets the ball on an outside screen. That is readiness and preparedness for a game. And that's what Urban Meyer is talking about. You're seeing, like, already, you saw at the USC game,
mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams had nothing open. It's not because he doesn't have fast guys.
No.
It's not because Lincoln Riley isn't a good play caller. It is because Oregon knew what was coming, right? Yeah. Their guys are in the right spot, and you have to improvise. And that's why Caleb Williams even kept that game remotely close.
Because that's what he does.
Is because they are ready each and every week.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, Bo Nix doesn't put the numbers up unless the staff is doing a lot of self-scouting, which is what Urban Meyer is talking about,
mm-hmm.
which isn't unique to anybody in college football. But the awareness to do it when things are going well. Most teams do it when you start hitting a lull in a season.
Sure.
To continue to do it week in and week out, that is different. But let's not kid ourselves. Where Dan Lanning has fallen short with Oregon is in close games.
Yep.
And in rivalry games when those games have been close. Those are the games he's lost.
And
those are the games he's lost. And getting his ass whipped by Georgia in game 1, right?
Which,
other than that, his record's been flawless.
I wouldn't disagree. And the problem is, for Duck fan, is that the things that matter big time beyond again, the fact that everything else has been mostly flawless. I think the only real pushback I have to that is the penalties, where they've been dumb with some stuff, but they've cleaned it up the last 2 years. First half of the year, they picked up a lot of penalties just being undisciplined, and then the second half of the year, tightened it up. So there's growth there. That's if I'm being nitpicky, that's probably the only thing about them that I go, okay, that. But that's, again, I'm raking the sand trying to find something. Otherwise, Lanning has been impeccable across the board, and I think it makes the shortcomings in the close games and in the rivalries that much louder. Because the other stuff, you can't go, well, yeah, there's that, or well, yeah, there's that. There's like a pattern of this, right? So it makes those 4 losses stand out the most.
That's what I'm really interested in seeing this week is what fourth down looks like in those decisions that he makes, because
I hope he doesn't change.
I don't think he will.
I hope he doesn't change.
I don't think he will, but how often do you do it is I think the willingness to go for it on fourth down won't change. The amount that he does, I think, will. I think early in games, I don't think you're going to see it nearly as much. He will take points if they're there.
So you think it's the opportunity as opposed to the I'm struggling for the word. The opportunity as opposed to the volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's where it was just like he just trusted his guys, which I think that's why his players do play so hard, is because he trusts them, and he'll trust them on fourth down. And I think that is where a lot of young coaches, they try to be micromanagers and they try to have their thumb on everything. And I think that's really something that's quite different from Dan Lanning, is that he has a lot of, as he says, the rooted in substance, a lot of discipline, but also a lot of faith in his guys that he'll trust them full send. But it's make no mistake about it, it's not like it's a player's coach that gets run on by his players. There's a lot of discipline within that program as well. But to have Urban Meyer say that about you,
look, Herb's a complete a-hole, but the dude can coach.
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
He just absolutely
of the highest
order.
Yeah.
But my God, can he coach?
Yes, he can.
The man knows the game inside and out.
Yep.
So it is, when you're talking about praising a coach and praising preparation and praising execution, you're not going to find many guys with, the ability to heap higher praise.
No doubt about it.
So
no doubt.
Coming up next, the college football playoff is what?
About an hour and a half
Hour
away.
and a half. Less than an hour and a half away from being announced.
Ooh.
Which will it?
Well,
which
the rankings.
Rankings.
Not
yes.
the playoff itself.
Yes,
we got a little bit of time for that.
We got a couple more weeks for that. But which way will it go? Will the Washington Huskies leapfrog Florida State after the Jordan Travis injury? We'll get to that and more. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with the Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
This is Rivalry Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by PG Long.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, Oregon quarterback Bo Nix has been named Walter Camp National Offensive Player of the Week after throwing 6 touchdowns in the first half and for over 400 yards in Saturday's win over Arizona State. Elsewhere, Oregon State's Damian Martinez named one of 10 semifinalists for the Doak Walker Award. That's given to the nation's top running back. In the NFL, the Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Pittsburgh's offense ranks 28th in points per game, 28th in yards per game, and 31st in passing yards per game. This marks the first time the Steelers have made a midseason change at head coach or coordinator since 1941. Coming off a bye week, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick says he'll wait until Sunday to name a starter at quarterback. Mac Jones was benched late in the fourth quarter of Week 10's loss to the Colts. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews will have ankle surgery today and is likely out for the year, but head coach John Harbaugh says there's a chance he could return if Baltimore makes a deep playoff run. And on the hard court, the Trailblazers finish in-season tournament group play tonight in Phoenix against the Suns. 6 o'clock tip on Root Sports. No Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Robert Williams, or Ish Wainwright. Malcolm Brogdon and Jamari Bouye are both questionable. The Blazers are 12.5-point dogs, and the team announced today they've assigned Scoot Henderson to the Rip City Remix for return-to-court conditioning. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand.
The College Football Playoff Committee says they take things into account like injuries. And I know that Florida State handled their business against North Alabama, but they were down 13-0. Jordan Travis got hurt. That is a gnarly injury. I get it. But there is no way that you can say that Florida State, which barely escaped Miami the week before, which should have put Washington ahead of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that you can say Florida State is still as good of, if not a better team than Washington without Jordan Travis. And Washington just, oh, by the way, went on the road and squeaked it out. But they won against what the committee said was the 11th best team in the country this past week.
Yes. And on top of that, even if Jordan Travis was healthy, Washington should still surpass them because they have 4 wins against the top 25,
Absolutely.
3 of them on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Point blank. Nobody else in the country can say that.
Yeah. And this is, I know that we won't see anything at the top. You know, Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan, they did nothing to kind of move themselves off it unless the committee wants to say that, hey, Washington went on the road and that win against Oregon State proved to us that they deserve to even be number 3. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
They should.
Okay.
If you're going resume, nobody else has anything there.
Yeah. And I think Oregon, you're going to stay at 6. I don't see anything changing in Oregon staying at 6, but
you don't think they move up to maybe number 5?
They could. I wouldn't be shocked if they did because of the Jordan Travis injury. If you say we know he's done for the year, everybody knows, and what that means to their viability as a top 4 team in the country, because they're going to play Louisville in the ACC championship game. They got Florida this week, but they're going to play Louisville in that ACC championship game. And, you know, if they finish with a clean slate, a perfect record, then now you got a real decision because you put a team in that you know without their star quarterback is not a top 4 team, or are you going to slide in the Pac-12 champion, which will either be undefeated Washington, which they will be in no matter what, full stop, but if it comes down to, is it 1 loss Oregon, 1 loss Texas, 1 loss Bama, 1 loss Michigan or Ohio State, whoever loses this game this week? Like that's a real question that the committee has got to start thinking about, because I could see Florida State winning their next 2 games and being undefeated. And at that point, what does the committee do? Because there's a lot of 1-loss teams that you're going, they're playing far better football right now.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about this is, do they want to put Oregon a little bit closer to the top 4 of their potential matchup with Washington?
Yeah. To just make it winners in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the justification is quite simply winners in.
Yeah. And I think you may see that. Wait for this weekend. Wait to see what Florida State does look like when they play a non-conference game against Florida this week. And then coming out of, Civil War weekend, you can sit there and say, all right, the Ducks didn't stub their toe. Even if Florida State didn't stub theirs, we can sit there and push Oregon ahead with another ranked win, especially if their win is more impressive over Oregon State than Washington's was the week before. Sure. They could say, hey, we still think Oregon State's a really good team, and they beat them handily.
And that's going to be the interesting part of this is
they're going to manipulate it whatever way they want.
Yes, and this goes back to my point earlier of how the College Football Playoff Committee has zero consistency.
They do have consistency in
they're consistently inconsistent.
No, they're consistent in where they put the teams, though, but they
resume matters for some, eye test matters for others.
That's right, but they're very consistent in that. In their when the eye test or resume come head to head, they go with resume.
I don't like
right.
It. I don't like it.
Shocking.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And what is that?
Be consistent.
Okay, with what?
How you're going to evaluate.
With what? And this is the problem, is that
if the resume matters, the resume matters. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.
It's so different. It can be so different.
I don't like it.
Well, sorry.
I don't like it.
I mean, what do you want? What do you want?
Consistency, damn it.
It they are.
But also next year when we get the 12
That's
team
what
playoff.
Bar 2 came on last week, and I mean he was like, No, they're actually really consistent with what they do.
Yes,
They're very consistent.
As far as like how he matches things up for the behind the scenes.
Well, no,
sure.
with where they place teams and what they actually use to evaluate, they are. They tell us something different, but they're really consistent in how they do it because
be honest in how you're telling us that.
But people don't understand that.
What do you mean?
They don't get the metrics. Like they don't get it. And so you just sit there and you say, well, this is why.
Be better about BSing. That's what they need to do.
I think you're just going to be angry no matter what.
I mean, we know this. But also, with the 12-team playoff, which is something that I've wanted forever, then we're going to get the volatility that we've all wanted for so long. It's not going to happen all the time, but occasionally you're going to get a poorly seeded team in that 12-team bracket that is going to cause chaos.
Look, Florida State is still being propped up because of a win against LSU early in the year. But they're doing that to prop up Georgia or Alabama.
Which is hilarious because that game happened
SEC
long before Oregon-Washington.
Oh, it was the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
It was first game of the year.
And we're already talking about Oregon-Washington not having the value it had because it was earlier in the year. That how the hell does this still have any value?
Well, the Oregon-Washington game does because they're 5-6 right now, and they're right next to each other.
But you understand, like from what I'm saying, if you're talking about, well, that game was,
I know,
in the
but
season.
Just know that at the end of the year, they do get it right.
Sure.
That they're just trying to make sure that they don't eliminate themselves at any other point.
All right, well, we're going to eliminate ourselves right now and take a quick break, and then we'll come back and tie a nice little bow on this show. Danny and Dusty, today the fan.
Let's do it. again, I said this earlier, they've played 126 times.
It's a lot.
Do you know the only FBS rivalries that are longer?
I'm guessing it's the Ivy League ones.
No, those are FCS.
FBS.
You have,
Minnesota, Wisconsin.
that's number one, 132 years. Then you got Auburn, Georgia, and North Carolina, Virginia.
Auburn, Georgia's that old?
128. Yeah, and this one is the 127th installment. I mean, this game has been played more than anybody has played each other out west, and more than big game down in Berkeley between Cal and Stanford. I mean, this is.
It feels like the same person's been calling that game through this entire.
Yeah, Joe Starkey.
Yep.
Yeah, he just retired.
Yeah, no,
he just retired.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to him.
In case you want to check the importance of this, the Oregon Ducks TVs that are throughout their facility are all replaying nothing but the fourth quarter of last year's Civil War.
As they should, because I think Duck fans have been replaying it in their minds forever. And if you don't know, the HDC, the Hatfield-Dowling complex down there, they have monitors everywhere. So when it's like the TVs are playing it, no, it is like probably hundreds of monitors that have the fourth quarter just on repeat, and they should. You should see that all the time.
Player's idea too.
Ooh, I like it. See, and this is like the cheeky little college stuff that I find fantastic. Like, this is what rivalries are all about, right? It should go from replaying the fourth quarter over and over and over again to, manufacturing bulletin board material a la Nick Saban, where he puts up fake quotes in their locker room. You just make up some Jonathan Smith quotes and plaster them on the board there.
I like that.
That's what rivalries that's what they should be about.
Yes.
Is just make it up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's have a contest of who can make up the crazier quote.
Yeah, the fake outrage is what fuels all of these rivalries.
Dan Lanning is responsible for all the lumber towns closing.
You know what? People are saying. I've heard it. I heard it on the radio.
That makes it true.
I heard it on the radio.
It's true.
Yeah, it's the theme of the day. I hear it on the radio. That if you were one of the players that was in that game, and here's the other thing with transfer portal, it's like there's a lot of guys that are walking through there and be like, who the hell are these guys? It's like, yeah, look at them. They got run all over. Yeah, because they weren't there last year.
True.
You got Jordan Birch, Justin Jacobs, Evan Williams. They're all just sitting there looking at going, damn.